Well, welcome everybody to today's Spotlight. And I am especially fired up for this particular one because we're going to be really breaking down something that I personally feel like doesn't get talked about enough in real estate. And that is how to go from good to great. And if you're here today, chances are you already know how to sell. You've probably been in the game for years. You might have had success. You might have closed deals, but you might not be where you want to be. And so no matter what you add, whether it's a new CRM, if you go and get better marketing, more social media, there's all these AI tools now, you find that nothing really changes. And in fact, my experience is that the more stuff you really add, the further you get away from the fundamentals that got you here in the first place. And so I'm excited to talk here today to Cyrus, who's a 9-year veteran in real estate and has always done everything right. And Cyrus, you've always been a $5 to $10 million producer year after year across different brokerages, different teams. You had some great years, so you weren't struggling, you weren't failing. You've always been really solid, professional, and successful. But when I first met you, I remember you telling me that you knew you were capable of more. And the thing is, it wasn't a skill problem because you know how to negotiate, you know how to close, you're great at building relationships. And the problem wasn't what you knew. The problem might have been the environment wasn't built for the growth that you were going to get. And so about 18 months ago, you joined us here at C2. And what happens next is kind of why we're here today. So in 2025, you closed over 35 million in production, which is just insane, huge year. Congratulations. But it was also in a market that went sideways, that most people were struggling in. And I don't know if you've seen the social media posts, but there's a graphic that people have been reposting this week. 70% of agents didn't sell a single house this year. And so while most agents were struggling to even survive, you doubled your business. So I don't think that kind of success is a story about luck. I think that kind of story is what happens when you combine a proven skill and track record with the right environment, right systems, and the right mindset. So thanks for coming on today to share your journey. I'm excited for everybody to get to learn from you. I've had the pleasure of getting to work with you the last 18 months, and I'm excited for the people who haven't got to learn from you yet to hear a little bit more about your story, your disciplines, your execution, and how you make all of this happen. So can you kind of just first off tell us a little bit about your career journey and how you got here?
Yeah, well, first, thanks for having me. I never really do any like seminars. I never really talk too much about myself, so I'll try to do the best I can. In what you said, I appreciate all that. That's great. One thing that I will say is that I didn't do everything right all through the years. Like I failed a lot, but yeah, I mean, like I was able to procure business, but I went through a lot of failure during my time. What I perceived as failure. My background, I actually come from like a design background. I tell people all the time, like I was more in like design, like arts, all that stuff. I just happened to land in a real estate brokerage where they needed kind of like assistance building other people's marketing and all that stuff. And that's how I ended up getting into the business, kind of by like happenstance. During that process, I think kind of like the scary part for me was jumping in was like, okay, well, anybody can get a deal. I think that anybody can get like their cousin, they could get, their sister or something, they could sell that person's house. But I think the scary part for me was like how to like procure consistent business and learning how to get more and more deals. So that was kind of like my experience in the beginning years of my business, was figure out where the next deal was coming from. So yeah, I mean, I would say the first few years was just kind of hands-on experience, figuring out, failing on my own, going on appointments and failing and doing all that stuff, but kind of learning. So definitely first several years was just complete figuring out where I'm going to go.
Yeah.
That answers.
You brought up failing multiple times, and I think this is a really important part of being an entrepreneur is figuring out how to fail and how to fail forward, how to learn from mistakes you've made and how to not make them again or turn things around. Can you tell us a little bit about how that plays into things for you?
Well, first of all, failing does hurt. Like it's something that you kind of have to experience, and failing's all like different type of, you can fail at different things or something like that. But I think I set myself like a high standard, and the truth is like you can't come in the business, in any type of business, not even real estate, and go from like zero to the top. And sometimes I set myself, that expectation, and you get, if you set it like that, you're going to be let down. You're going to shoot for the sky, but like you're going to be, you're going to fall a lot of times. Good thing is that I want to achieve a lot. I want to excel. Bad thing is, you're setting it a little bit high. So failure, if you reference like specific failures in the business, like, when I was procuring listings and all that stuff, trying to procure listings, it was like, let me go do this by myself. And people in the business would say, hey, you're a little bit stubborn, bring somebody. No, let me just go fail, try to get it by myself and be rejected and be turned down and all that stuff. And that was kind of difficult, but it allowed me, to kind of build some confidence.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's really hard to break through that stuff, and it's hard to be told no. A lot of things we're talking about here today are like universal to sales. It's sales and entrepreneurship, I think, not just real estate, to your point. And failure's tough, no matter what you're in. But that having that resilience to get back up and try it again, again and again and again, is important. And I think that experience that you had, where you're like, "Hey, I want to do this myself. I want to overcome it," is like a testament to character of somebody who like wants to overcome. But I also think that's what creates like longevity in the business, is going through that adversity, and not just like having somebody else go on the appointment with you and shoe it in. Because what do you really learn? Yeah, you got the deal, but what did you really learn?
Yeah, but hindsight 2020, if I could go back, like it would be listening, because what is it, like not reinventing the wheel? What's the saying, like not reinventing the wheel, or
Yeah,
so,
don't reinvent the wheel.
listening to people that have been through it more than just like being a hardhead
Yeah.
would help me kind of like excel a little bit faster. But yeah, definitely, I agree.
Yeah. In these past years, like you said, you were able to find deals, and by most standards, very, very successful. So what made you realize you might have hit a ceiling on what you were doing in the past?
That's a good question. Yeah, because I did kind of, you can always do more by like building teams and that type of stuff, but when you're using one type of system, probably there's so much that you could do. There's only so much that you could do. Like as one person, there's only so much you could do. Now I could have done more those years. I had some pretty successful years,
Yeah.
not by like this standard, but pretty successful years. But how would I grow with those? I probably would have to be receptive to like different ideas and stuff like that. So I had a system that I was using,
Mhm.
but yeah, it would only take me so far.
Right. Yeah. And so you and I got introduced about 18 months ago or so, maybe it was 2 years ago. But you joined the team about 18 months ago. What made you start looking for a different environment than one you had before, and what drew you to our group?
Well, that comes like kind of with the background. So I started with a more like, I think it was like 130 agent brokerage. And then there was several, a fraction of those that were like really active and everything like that. But you would kind of translate it to like the cliche kind of like family environment where you know more of your agents, and, you build relationships. And eventually we were bought out by a larger brokerage, and I didn't really get that connection. Part of it's my fault, maybe is not like letting them in, and then part of it's just so big, it's so kind of like corporate and everything like that. So I eventually kind of went away from that. I'm a licensed broker. I did my own thing. And of course, like everybody, if you do deals, you'll get recruited. Even if you don't do deals, but you'll get recruited. So of course, you have the option to go anywhere. A colleague of mine said, come check this out, which I had interviewed at other brokerages, and I liked it. I liked what you guys offered, and I was open to checking it out. So does that answer, or did you ask me more in detail?
Yeah. No, that was good. Just kind of a little background on how we got introduced.
To go back to it, that's kind of like the similarity that I felt like from my first brokerage was like I like the guy. I like you. You know, like I met you. I went to a couple. I think we met at like a meet and greet
Yeah.
thing in Santa Clara. Met you guys a couple times. I liked kind of like the vibe, and I liked kind of like the initial thing of what you guys had to offer. So it made me want to come check it out.
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay. And so when you did officially join the team as an experienced agent, I still asked you to come to boot camp, and you were still asked to make 500 pawn calls before you could start getting some inbound leads. And you had closed successful deals and probably were better than a lot of agents already on our team. What was kind of your reaction when we started doing that beforehand, and what was your feeling after doing it?
I think that that's like, I would say like you have to look at yourself in the mirror. You have to humble yourself because no matter what you do, like in the business, the business changes and everything like that. So coming in, I was coming to the brokerage like needing some sort of, extra oomph. I know that I can close deals and I'm confident with myself, but I needed kind of a little bit of extra oomph, and you got to work the systems that people, offer you to get there. Now there it's not like it was pointless. It actually really helped build my confidence and build my phone call and just like all that type of stuff. If I didn't do that, definitely I would be less confident or I would have to work up more. So definitely I'm super appreciative of going through all that. Now I burned through them like 500 calls like because that's what I do. It's a great experience, I think. Coming in, you're kind of like, oh man, I got to do 500 calls to unlock this stuff, but it really helps to me, like no BS. It really helped me out.
That's amazing. And I think that's really cool that even you, as somebody who's experienced like 9 years doing this, had some amazing years in the past, and even you still say, hey, I needed a little bit more refinement on my phone skills. I needed to get a little bit more confidence. And, I don't think it matters how long we're in the business or how much we've been doing something. No matter what, we can always get better. And professional sports teams practice and they go through the reps of the basics. And so, us as real estate agents or entrepreneurs, I mean, we're not above that either. And yeah, that was really cool that you came in very humble. And I like that, like you said, needing the little extra oomph. That was good. Okay, so let's talk also something about most top producers care a lot about, and that is splits. So most experienced agents, they hear join a team or get support, and right away I think most people's mind goes, so what's the cost of the split? And now you've capped 2 years in a row on your SOI business, like halfway through the year, 6 months through the year. So how did the agent model and cap structure impact your decision to join? And what does it look like financially for you in the last couple of years on that?
Yeah, that's a good question too. I learned kind of coming in that because agents base like everything, some are like, hey, I need 100% split. I need this. I learned coming in like really quick, long time ago, that like 100% of nothing is nothing. So now when you look at that, you could go somewhere and you can make 100%, but if you have nothing like offered to you, anything like that, it's not really, it doesn't mean anything. So my thing when I was searching around was, what does any kind of brokerage offer me for like what I'm paying, like split wise and everything like that. And I mean, you guys by far like had a great kind of like package and everything like that. So it's kind of like not even really about the split. It's more like, hey, what does it take for my business to grow? And then obviously, like with a cap, like I know I'm confident that I'm going to, hit that cap. So it's not really that important to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it is important. I don't want to take away that, that everybody needs to make money and everything like that. But yeah, it's kind of like you got to give to receive and all that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Does
No,
that
that was helpful.
answer?
That was helpful. Like it sounds like you realized early on in this career, in your real estate career, that 50% of a watermelon is better than 100% of a grape. And I like how you thought of it more as like, hey, there's going to be a split of fee no matter what. What am I getting in return? How is it going to help me grow my business? Not just like, what does it cost me on a one-off deal?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I think your way of looking at this as like an annual basis as opposed to one transaction is really important. I remember last July, you and I had a conversation because we had you had a deal close just like 2 days after your cap had reset, and we ended up extending it for the deal. And you and I had a conversation where it's like, hey, it doesn't matter if it's paid today or in 3 months. If you're gonna cap, you're gonna cap. So it's an annual cost, not a deal cost.
Yeah, and I will kind of reiterate that I am a licensed broker. Like I could go pull my license and go do transactions and keep 100% and pay my E&O and do all that stuff. I
Yeah.
could do that at any time. I actually like working here and like paying and sharing and doing all that stuff versus just like 100%. It's not all about that in the business to me.
And so another thing that I think is like a master level art of what you do, and maybe it's science, you tell me, but the way that you utilize company leads in your growth, I think is very special. So what you've told me before is that you are focused primarily on your sphere, but when your sphere slows down, you dive into leads more because it gets you active, it gets you busy, keeps your mind right, and it keeps your head in the market so that you're better with your sphere because of the deals that you do with company leads. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you blend the Zillow leads with your existing sphere and database?
Yeah, so I think when I first like interviewed to come over, I think me and you did a Zoom call, and you were asking about goals and all that stuff. And I feel like I have the right kind of I had the formula in my mind. Like I'm, was more like I'm not coming here just to do lead gen. Basically, lead gen is going to help me get my business where I need it to be. And those like that addition to my business, which my business is not based all on lead gen. That's not my goal, but sprinkling in that stuff here and there really helps. So the way that I kind of use it is, when I have time, I pick up the call and I go work it. And the fact is, like, you have to realize that you're going to go through the pain of taking, lead gen because a lot of people aren't going to want to work with you. A lot of people are going to, they're not going to be on the same timeline, the same thing as you. So you can't take that as personal. And then you kind of close the ones that you can. So that's kind of what I do. But like I said, then I work the people that refer me business or the people that I go out and get and all that stuff. And I make sure I don't lose those ones because those are really important to me. All my business is really important to me. SOI is extremely important as well. So.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so you've done really well, specifically with the Zillow. You have a current listing right now with the IP leads, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But Zillow is where you've really shined more with our company. What is your kind of your system that you utilize with these Zillow leads?
I would say, the stuff that we learned, like going through the kind of training, definitely like utilize all that, which is getting the information out of them on the phone, setting up an appointment, doing all that. I mean, I guess when I go and meet people, I'm using like my best asset, which is, which I consider my best asset is like likability, going over there, getting them to kind of like me, want to work with me. That's probably like the best, and my confidence. So if I go over there and I'm not confident, like probably, when I went to go meet a first few of them, you're kind of like, what am I doing here? You're kind of like cookie cutter, but yeah, I would say the confidence that I kind of project, if they could read off that. So that's probably my best asset utilizing these leads.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. And know like trust is definitely like that biggest thing that we always talk about for those leads is the sooner you can get into know like trust with them is huge. And if you're able to convey your confidence, like you said, that's going to make people feel comfortable right away.
Yeah, because I know, and just like with a lot of people in the company, like I know I have all the tools, I have everything, I have the experience and everything like that to close this transaction, to do the best for them. But like if they don't know that and they don't feel that, then I haven't done my job as well. So it's not just the fact that I could do the transaction. Like a lot of people could do transactions, but breaking through and like relating is kind of like something that is helping my business grow as well.
It's awesome. And then some people, when they start getting Zillow leads, and you might have had this experience too, when you start getting Zillow leads, you have this experience where some of them feel less serious and like you're running around a little bit. And there's a little bit of like perseverance that goes into this and a numbers game and stuff like that. Where was your head at when you first started getting them and weren't like getting paid right away to do those, to take those leads?
I think myself, like I always want to be like, I'm always like a perfectionist. That's kind of like what I came from, is like, hey, try to be the best at what you do and all this stuff, and so when you get all these and you realize, dang, I can't close 100%.
Yeah.
It's like really painful for me. But then changing my mentality, my mindset to know, like, you're not going to close them all, and right now it's like you gotta use this, you gotta do the system. Like, you can't just throw away people, because that's not going to help your, maybe your conversion rate and all that stuff. But you gotta work with people that want to work with you. And if you call and people are going to hang up the phone on you, or they're just going to jerk you around, it's kind of like, well, I need to you know allot my energy somewhere else. So
Yeah, that's great. So like, it's really about like focusing the energy on the right, finding who the right people are, and then focusing the energy on the right people.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So as you've kind of done this, where you've had a big sphere business, you've added leads. What does your daily discipline look like? What's that routine?
That's another thing, like, that I'm growing into, is like, I love to work. I mean, some people don't, like, I love to like work hard,
Yeah,
and that's kind of like what I've been doing for as long as I can remember. So now it's kind of like, okay, well, what do I do next? Because I think you asked me to go on like a spotlight. I don't know, like if it was like 3 months ago or 4 months ago, and I think I told you, I'm still not happy to where my business is.
yeah,
Um, Even if you ask me now, like, I mean, I'm proud of like my accomplishments, but I would like my business to grow even more. Now, how am I going to do that without like working every single hour of the day? I don't know. That's part of the thing that I'm working on figuring out. So what do I do now? Is I get up, I check my CRM, do all that type of stuff, have my listings, which I'm working on, which everyone's are different. Like, one's getting cleaned out, one's getting staged, one's getting closing, and all that stuff. You work all that stuff, and then you got to generate new leads. So that's kind of like my day to day. And sometimes that could be 7 days a week. As kind of like silly as it sounds, sometimes that's 7 days a week, but I enjoy doing it. So
yeah, that's
yeah.
awesome. I know pretty much every time you and I connect on the phone, it's like something we bond over is we both love the hustle. We both love to work.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
So we get on the
yeah.
phone, we're like, what are you doing? You're like, I'm hustling. And you're like, what about you? I'm hustling, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
We're
but
out here.
you're a bigger hustler than me, man, which I don't even think. I don't know how anybody could hustle. I know that people could be smarter than me and do like more accomplishments, but to work hard, and you work harder than, you work just as, I mean, you're balancing all this stuff. So
Yeah, I would say we both work hard. I don't think either one of us works harder than the other. I don't think that's even possible for either one of us, or for there to be a winner on that category. But I think it's like comes back to, at least for me, it's enjoying what I'm doing. Like if I wake up excited to go get after it, and then it's not hustling. It's doing something I love, right? And so getting to connect with clients and help people realize their dreams of home ownership and building businesses, things like that. It's fun. And so if you're doing something you really enjoy, it shouldn't feel like work. So your daily discipline is you start the day with your follow up first, touching base with those people that you need to keep in touch with. Then you go into your service side of the business, specifically your listings. And then after that, you're feeling, hey, I got everything in control. I feel comfortable. So then you flip into lead generation. Hey, where am I going to keep feeding my pipeline?
yeah, I would say that if my CRM is not clean, because my CRM is like my coming listings, my all these things that I should be nurturing. If that's not clean, like I have like a little bit of worry. I'm worried because I'm like, tomorrow will be even crazier. The next day will be even crazier. So that's got to be taken care of. That's like getting up, brushing your teeth, making your bed. Like, that's got to happen. And then, yeah, then I could dive into like the day-to-day tasks. And then, yeah, then it's like, okay, well, what other leads can I go get? Because now it's to the point, like, I'm very happy with the business that I've built, where And I think when I came into the company, like you even told people, you were like, there's no time that you should not be able to go like work something. Like you could dive into the pond if
Yeah.
you don't have anything. And
Yeah.
people should always have something to do. So I think I've built the business up enough to where I'm like, okay, well, I could go work this possible one. There's a potential listing over here. Let me go, put some effort into that. So there's always something I can be doing, just kind of like identifying which ones are, best to work and fit in. So
Yeah. It'll be best use of your time for sure. But I love that you put keeping your CRM updated on the same level as taking a shower and brushing your teeth. So that was
yeah,
good. Just like it's a requirement to get out of the house for the day, right? You got to get your shower in, your brush your teeth, and clean your CRM.
yeah, yeah. And I tell, another thing about like coming over to the company too as well. I mean, I've been in the business for, however long that I was before there, and I did that all without a database or a CRM.
We're doing
And you guys
Excel.
brought, yeah, I just on memory and writing stuff down and all this stuff. And then you guys had Sierra, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then we came over to Follow Up Boss, and that was like night and day. And I mean, that's also part of my growth, leads that I forgot about, like they pop up when I've put in like 6 months later that I need to contact them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's definitely a huge part of my business growth,
That's
out of
amazing.
several factors. Yeah.
And that's so cool that you point that out as such an important part of your growth because it's something that's just like so much to the basics and the fundamentals. It's not the AI tool or something like that. It's hey, I got to do the basic thing every single day before I can start on those other things. So I love that that's like your first thing you do every day to make sure it gets done.
Mm.
So I think one of the huge parts about your ability to sell this much in a year is definitely your dedication to listings.
Mm.
And I really love some of the things that you do around your listings. You brought up in the very beginning of the call that you have your design background. I know you do photography, drone work, all kinds of stuff like that. You also do some really cool things in your neighborhoods when you're marketing your listings. So can you tell us a little bit about your process when you do take on a new listing?
Yeah, yeah. So I wasn't like coming into the business. I was like a couple listings here and there, more lean towards buyers. But the thing is, like my presentation, always like presentation skills is really important. And I feel like it's in obviously like I've got a listing coming up where the seller's like, just take the photos with your iPhone. Don't need to do anything. But it's a $2.5+ million listing that's like kind of like a fixer upper. And she's like, just don't do much. And I said, don't worry, I'm going to pay out of pocket. I'm going to pay for these type of things. Let me do it. So yeah, I feel like everything that I do should have like the full package, which is like hitting the neighborhood with the marketing, the ads, doing advertising open house, advertising, when it's pending, advertising sold. I've added into my kind of like repertoire is Kevin. I'm learning from all time. Kevin pushed me to do a video. I would never do a video. I never want to be in front of a video reciting, talking about the play. Kevin pushed me to do that. He said, "Hey, you go do it." It was like uncomfortable. That's an extra piece that I add to my, to my listings and stuff like that. But it helps the listing. But it also like I'm going on a listing appointment on Friday, and it makes my listing appointment that much easier. It's like, hey, look what I did over here, and exactly like I'll do this for your place. And then you talk about the other stuff, commission and all that stuff. But once you show them that like there's nobody that's going to beat me presentation wise, that's like half the battle right there.
I love it. I love it so much. And great job getting yourself uncomfortable to grow. And I've watched you've done two videos now, right?
Yeah.
And both of them are phenomenal, man. Like so good. And like you said, the presentation is great. And now you have a track record of success doing these high level of videos. And like you said, you just show clients that you have proof over promise. Now you can prove what type of package and what type of marketing exposure those type of clients are going to get. And so, yeah, kudos to you for doing something that I know you like deep down didn't want to do, but you knew it was important, especially with the way the world is going with video, social media, all those
Yeah.
things. So, yeah.
And to finish the point of like what I do is like, yeah, now we have like Zillow Showcase.
Mhm.
So I utilize that on one. I'm going to utilize that on like two more listings that I have coming up. That's like an extra piece that I do. And then when I talk to the next person, it's like, hey, offer showcase. I'm a top Zillow agent. Offer showcase. Like these other guys don't offer that.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of like an extra piece.
Just stacking all those pieces of proof is amazing. You touched on it right there, but tell us a little bit more about what you do in the neighborhood to introduce yourself to the neighbors when you get a listing.
Well, that I'm pretty like diligent. So I would say, yeah, that's just something that's mandatory for me. So no matter how busy that I am, like if I have a listing, like I had this one in Cambrian, I gotta hit the neighborhood. I gotta meet the people. Gotta get rejected by a ton of people, and then possibly pick up one or two leads. So I have to do that. That's like when I get the listing and I have open house coming up. I have to do that. When I got it sold, I got to meet the same people. Got to tell them to tell me to leave or don't come give me that or something like that. So that's stuff that I have to do. So no matter how busy I am, I got to go do that stuff because that's the most important thing to my kind of like getting more business is leveraging.
So let me get that straight. You sold 35 million this past year,
Yep.
which is like anybody who has a calculator can see that's like over 800K in total gross commission income. That's a lot of gross commission. And you still, no matter what, on every single listing, went and door knocked all the neighbors when you first got the listing, on the open houses, and after it sold.
100%. I do that. I do that all the time. That's like have to do that. The one thing I will tell you is I know how you're referencing it, like 35 million, this much in commission. I never really like look at until my taxes come out. I never really look at the number. It's
Yeah.
more like, am I doing the systems that I've set for myself? And then like the end result is going to vary at some point, but as long as I use those systems and then I'm adding in new stuff, I'm satisfied with that because I know that I'm not going to make less than X dollar. Now I could make more, and I could keep if I do that, I'll keep making more. But I never really measure it like that. It's more like, let me go use these systems that work for me.
Yeah. Well, I think that mindset that you just shared is part of the reason why you're able to do that, because you're so committed to the activities and you've promised yourself, I'm going to do these things no matter what. And you know that the results will take care of themselves as long as you stay true to the commitment, stay true to the activities that you've proven to yourself work.
Yeah. Now those systems may need to be adjusted for like time, only have so many hours in a day. Eventually I'm always tweaking. I'm always adjusting my life. Those things may need to be adjusted. But for right now, that's like what I'm doing. So
Yeah. Well, I'm just really excited about it and really, impressed by it, because most people, when they get to having that type of success, those things like door knocking a listing would be the first thing they dropped.
correct. Quitting doing open house, stop doing door knocking, stop doing those things. But I tell you, I've been through successful years and I know what it's like to feel like when all of a sudden your business kind of like drops. It starts kind of like declining and then maybe it could, you know, you could not be producing as much. And I know what that feels like. So that's why I always keep my foot on the gas, because at any time anything could change, so I just always push it kind of.
So momentum is not only something that helps you build, momentum is also something that can be a momentum of decline and hard to break out of then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Jeremy from the chat had a great question. He wanted to know what type of social media platforms you're using for exposure and marketing.
I honestly, like, I just had a Facebook that I kind of like before I was in business that I had. That's what I use now. And then I'm building up like an X page or Twitter or something, which has like no followers, but building kind of like a backlog of stuff to, if I want to do, advertise it somewhere and have followers and all that stuff, I could work on that. I know that Instagram is probably like where the funny thing is like whenever I do open houses, every open house I do, I get all these like influencers that come in and say, hey, can I make a video in your, an Instagram video? And I say, sure, if it's not obstructing like people coming in the thing, by all means.
Yeah.
So I know that Instagram is is very important. Do I utilize all those? No. So I'll be transparent as like, I'm just growing with social media.
Yeah. Well, I think that's actually really important, though, Cyrus, is the fact that you haven't abandoned the things that you know that work, like doing open houses and door knocking, for the shiny objects like Instagram, just because you've seen other people do it. And because a lot of those influencers that are coming in your listings asking about the videos, my question would be, how many of them sold 35 million in 2025?
Well, that's the truth. I mean, I've looked up those people, and I'm trying to figure out how are they getting paid. They're more maybe trying to build business, or which I give them kind of like respect for, hustling on the weekends without guarantee that you're going to get paid or anything like that. But yeah, it's different reasons. I would say I don't know if it's building a network. I really don't know, but I know for my business, like these are the things I do, and things that are really important to me are the kind of like the foundation, which would be those things. And then also talking to, which I learned in the business long time ago, was talking to like my sphere of influence. Like that's the most important.
Yeah.
So all this other stuff is cool, like for me to like sprinkle in, but talking to my sphere of influence is really important. So
The fundamentals. All conversion lives in conversation and sticking there.
but yeah, so social media, I don't have.
But you don't give yourself enough credit, though, because yes, you're not like a social media influencer. But if you do go Google your name, if you go Google Cyrus Donnie right now, it's obvious that you're a successful agent. It's obvious that you're a very dependable person. So no, you're not like posting on Instagram daily, but you have done work on yourself with like social profiles to build your brand. So that way, because the clients do Google us as agents. And so you have done that. And you, like, for example, your Zillow profile is very well built out. You have, over 35, you have like 30, 40 reviews on there. You have a professional picture. You make sure your listings get on there. Like, so you have done the proof side of social media. You just don't necessarily do the influencer lead generation side.
That's a good point. So I did build up, Zillow profile, making sure I'm getting reviews. When I had a little bit of downtime during Christmas, I was like, okay, well, let me build up my Google reviews now. So it's kind of like those type of things are really important, because those are the things that I actually send to client. Now, the Instagrams and all that stuff, I don't know how to measure those. I don't know, but I know that I can measure by sending over my Zillow profile and say, hey, go look. I'm 5-star, and all these guys have good reviews, and I've done these homes and all that stuff. Look at that, and this will give you a good kind of like understanding of like how I do business. So
yeah, I'm not saying the social media marketing is not important. I'm not saying it doesn't work, but I truly believe that you're taking it in the right order. You're doing the conversion side of things, where you're having a very strong web presence that you can, like you said, you can share that with clients. If they Google you, they're going to see really good things, and you're getting that foundation really, really strong before even thinking about like becoming an influencer or anything like that. So
yeah, no, I think that stuff's great. I'm just being honest that like I haven't added that stuff into my thing, but no, I think that stuff's great. I would do all that. So
yeah. What would you say now to an experienced agent who's maybe where you were a few years back, consistently producing in that $5 to $10 million range, but they know they're consistent, but they know that they're capable of doing more? What type of words of advice would you give them from after the year you've had?
well, I think it would probably be like, look at what you're doing and what can you add. Yeah, because anybody who's successful has to be able to look at what you're doing and what you need to modify to grow. Maybe other people, different people need different things, but yeah, it's like really look. If I was to translate it to myself, is like, look at what I'm doing and what do I need to add to grow, or what do I need to modify. And what's important to me is working, being around like successful people, learning from people that have stuff to show me, to kind of teach me. And then also, yeah, the tools. Like, are there additional tools like in your, where you work? Are there additional tools? Like, is it just the name, or is there extra stuff they could give you? So, I don't know. That's, if you ask me specifically why I came over to C2, is like nobody else kind of offers anything like this, it's kind of like night and day. It's an easy decision.
So, kind of looking ahead, 2026, you just had a huge year, 2025. Now we're in 2026. What are you most excited about in your business this year?
Well, I'm thankful that I've worked hard through the holidays, so I'm kind of coming out the gate strong. So I would say that I'm excited to kind of leverage the stuff that I already have going on, and also the mystery of what's behind, the next door. So yeah, I've got residential stuff. I've got kind of like I've came from like a somewhat commercial background, so I've got some commercial stuff that I'm working on, and then like the mystery of like what's next. What can I work hard to kind of achieve? So those are the things that kind of have me excited as far as business.
Mm-hmm. Kind of a follow up question on that, Jeremy, from the chat is from an aspect of both your time and your money. Where are you investing the heaviest in your business?
Time and money. Well, I would say I invest like a lot of time. Some days I'll like tonight I'll probably be working till like 11, 12 or something, working on different things. So I invest a lot of time. Like my time is super important to me, but I invest a lot of time. Money, like no, I mean, if I have a successful year, I don't want to say that I'm just like, what is it? Just spending like, but yeah, I mean, I'll spend on like, Zillow showcase. What Zillow showcase is like $550. Then this is another 1,000, and these things all add up. But I'll just kind of throw it out there to spend it because it's worth the investment.
So it sounds like investing in the marketing around, specifically around your listings, is really important to you because because it's twofold. You get the marketing for the exposure for your listing to sell that home, but also you have the ability to build your brand through that marketing.
100%. Yeah, yeah. So it's like it's just reinvesting in myself. So if I look at it like, oh, I want to keep another, 1,500, 2 grand, 3 grand in the bank. Yeah, but like that 3 grand, that might be coming out of a listing that I'm making the money. Yeah, but it's reinvesting in myself that it's going to come back, hopefully in more business.
Having that long term approach with it, I love that. All right, last question is how can people connect with you or learn more about what you're doing?
I know that I've met like a bunch of people at like the like events that we've had.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good way to kind of chat. People could always like email or call me. I don't know how much during the day. I think there was an agent came on, like she would call me, we'd have some chats and stuff. But I don't know how much time I would have in the day. It's more like, if we meet, we see each other and stuff like that. One thing I would say is that I learned in the business is kind of like be around people that are doing deals. Be around people that are growing and kind of achieving and stuff like that if you want to grow your business because you can learn a lot. So, always surround yourself with people that are kind of like achieving stuff and can help you grow. It's the same thing like, I snowboard and ski. It's kind of like snowboarding up. It's like if I go out snowboarding, with people that are kind of like, just learning and stuff like that, I'm kind of at that level. But, my buddy, he lives in Tahoe and he's off trails and all that stuff. And I snowboard with him and I get a lot better. So, I'm trying to elevate.
I love that. So put yourself around the people who are already the places you want to be, and you
Yeah,
can
try to, I would say. Yeah.
yeah. And so if somebody wanted to get closer to you, and even we're a broker, we have the benefit of having the ability to sponsor agents at the brokerage. If somebody were wanting to get closer to you and ask you to sponsor, is that something that you're open to in the future?
Sure, I'd be open to it. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Cyrus, dude, I'm super proud of you and everything that you've accomplished in the last year. It's been really amazing getting to watch you. It's been really amazing get to work hand in hand with you. You just impress me all the time with your disciplines, your ability to stay true to the fundamentals of the business that create the success, and just really, really amazing what you've built here. And so thank you for coming on today and kind of opening up your playbook, sharing with everybody. It was really awesome. I know I took a ton of notes. I bet everybody else did as well. So you're getting lots of congratulations down in the chat and lots of thanks. And so thanks for just being such an open book and giving today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, I wanted to thank you guys because like my time and everything is important, and I chose to come here, and I'm really thankful to be at this brokerage and around the people and learning and kind of like sharing the tools and all this stuff. So I'm grateful to actually be here too. So, kind of like you guys have really helped my business grow. I mean, I bust my butt, so I work hard and I go out and get business, but like you guys have really helped my business grow. So I'm thankful. And that's why I'm putting in the time to kind of like share this information with you. I'm glad
Yeah,
to kind of reciprocate.
I appreciate that. I appreciate
Yeah.
that a lot, man.